Welcome back to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. It's been a minute since we were able to record. There's been so much going on in the world of football. Lots of trades, cuts, 53-man rosters are set, practice squads are set. But Lance, how are you doing, man? I hear you've been having a really, really busy life here recently.
Andrew, I'm doing good. It's been crazy busy. Went to an all-day conference the other day for work, traveled to Northern Idaho, and the moments I was free, you weren't free, and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. And that is life. I do want to give a shout
Yep.
out though to our newest friend that I said we should call Dummy, your microphone that I've never seen before in the background, but he
Mm-hmm.
kind of has that, like that arm shape to him. I was
A little
looking to
bit.
turn it straight on, so
A little
um,
bit.
I think your friend should be a permanent guest on our podcast, though.
Okay, maybe I should get like a little sticker and put it right here, label it dummy.
I like it. I love it. But yeah, man, I'm good. How are you doing? How's your family?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Things are getting pretty busy here too with work and little Timothy's going on 10 months now in a week, which is crazy to think.
Wow, 10
Yeah.
months.
Hmm.
My girl just turned 4 months. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
insane. I cannot believe that it's
Hmm.
been that long for 10 months. Wow. Is
Yep.
he
Yep.
any walking updates, crawling updates?
I think we're going to be crawling probably within a month because he's doing the motions. He knows how to. It's just the strength part, and we're working with him on that. So I think it's going to be close.
Hmm. Wow, crazy. Good for you
Hmm.
guys, man. That's exciting.
Yeah, and he is a talker. Doesn't have words, of course, but he can spew off what he thinks are words, and it's
Mhm.
hilarious.
That's awesome. It's fun, man. It's fun to watch your kids grow up.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's awesome. Good for you guys.
Yep.
Well,
How's your little girl doing? Is she sitting up or is she?
we just last week, she's got a little chair that she sits in that's just, built sideways to kind of just prop her up. And
Hmm.
all last week, she purposely lifted her head and back off of it because she was trying
Okay.
to like sit up. So I put her on my back last week because I could see some neck muscle and the back muscle starting to build up. And she did a great job holding herself up. Put my hand right behind her back just to make
Uh-huh.
sure that she wouldn't go flying anywhere. But she did a great job. We're probably like, I don't know, maybe 2 months out from me being able to do like hiking stuff with her. I mean, that'll be the complete wrong time of the year, but besides that.
Uh-huh.
So,
Hey, you never know.
yeah,
You might get like a November time frame where the weather isn't horrible.
yeah. Oh, one other thing I want to update on, Andrew. We are finally getting through the toilet training stuff with Landon. He is actually making the finalized progress that we needed, been
Nice.
praying for. Um, but just a shout out to people. I noticed that there's like almost no kids movies at the theater right now, and I saw one
Hmm.
out there called The Bad Guys 2. It was actually pretty good. I was impressed. It was a good
Okay.
kids movie. I liked it a lot,
Okay.
and had never heard of The Bad Guys. Somehow I missed that when that came out, but we also didn't have kids at that time really that were at that age.
Right.
Selena was like a few months old, but it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was a fun movie, and that was his reward for, hey, we're making
There you
progress.
go.
Good work.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was in heaven. Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, all right. Should we get right into it? Lots of stuff going on in the preseason, and now regular season's basically here. Week one practices have started, rosters are set mostly. There's going to be some movement. We'll get into that, but there's been some stuff happen the past couple weeks that we haven't got to talk about yet.
yeah, man. There's a ton. I mean, should we dig into the Adam Thielen conspiracy theory that's no longer a conspiracy theory?
If we want to start there, we can start there. That is totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one wearing purple today, so I think it's only fair that we get to honor your team
Hmm.
first by getting first dibs.
Absolutely. I'm totally fine with that. Okay. So, with that Adam Thielen trade, so Minnesota made a lot of moves before that. I'll get into that, but those kind of, in a way, set this up because the pick we traded was, I think, the pick from you guys, actually. Actually, maybe not. Maybe it was our own because I think your we'll get into the Sam Howell one, but I think the pick we got from you guys was conditional. I think it was.
Yeah,
I heard mixed reports.
I haven't heard the finalized uh if that's been announced as far as like what the compensation will be. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see here.
Yeah, yeah. Somewhere I heard that that pick from the Eagles was um based off of some some stipulation. So I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, it just says conditional on the official
Yeah.
announcement to the NFL.
Hmm. Which conditional picks can be traded. I've heard. So it might have been that one, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so we've been going back and forth with the Panthers. It was reported at
Mm.
first that they were asking for a third round pick, which is just ridiculous. I don't know why they would think that they can get a third round pick for a 35 year old wide receiver on his last year of his contract who's probably retiring next year. Why would anyone give up a three? But anyway, that was some rumors floating around. And for the history purposes, Minnesota really needed someone because, of course, Addison's suspended for 3 games. Jefferson's healthy but hasn't practiced for a month because of his hamstring little scare he had. And Jalen Naylor hurt his hand in like the last week of preseason, and he had a procedure done on it with expectations to be ready for week 1. But wide receivers, hands, surgery, that's scary. You never know if he's going to be able to catch the ball or not. So we had some concerns there, and we needed to get someone in the building that could learn the offense quickly, be good with being a 2 for a few weeks, and then be good with probably being a 3 or 4 once Addison comes back. So we're not looking at a star. Like there was names like Chris Olave's we weren't trading for Chris Olave. There's no way he would accept being a 3.
Do you think
There,
Chris Olave is a star? Is he a star player? Or
I
am
don't
I
think
just
he's
low on Chris Olave?
so he has star talent, but I would also agree that I don't think he's a star. He's not a 1, but he could be a really good 2. And we already have a really good 2. So he would be a 3 on our team. And I don't think a 3 is what he would be looking for in his career, especially right now. So I don't think that was ever going to happen. There was even talks of we're trading for Tyreek Hill. No, we're not trading for Tyreek Hill. Sometimes fans get a little crazy. And hey, I've been crazy sometimes too. I could admit that, but I knew that wasn't happening. There
Yeah,
was one guy.
we all knew how big of an Aaron Rodgers fan you were, Aaron
Oh
or
yeah,
Andrew, about being a
so
conspiracy
much,
theory.
so much. There was one guy though that like literally a couple days before the Adam Thielen trade went down that I thought, would that work? And that was Jacoby Myers. He asked for a trade
Hmm.
from the Raiders, and I thought that could be interesting. I could see him as a really good 3 because he's the one in Vegas right now, which I see him more as a solid 2, but as a 3, he'd be really good. I was like, ooh, that would be expensive, but would that be worth it? I was debating that before the Adam Thielen trade went down, but all that to say, we needed someone that could learn the offense. Again, be okay with being a 2 for a few games and down to a 3 or a 4. And who better than Adam Thielen? Because he's been in the O'Connell offense for a year before he parted ways and went to the Panthers. He's 35, so he knows he's not going to be a 1 anymore, and probably not even a 2 anymore. And on the team he
Hmm.
was currently on, they had like 3 young studs. He probably wasn't even going to get to play, honestly. But the Panthers, to their credit, wanted him in the room because he's a veteran to help out these young guys. That makes sense. So they didn't want to just give him away for nothing, even though he wasn't going to be there next year and they wouldn't have gotten anything for him. But that third round pick, that was just crazy. And the Panthers were being stubborn because it was reported that there was an offer on the table that was pretty much accepted, but the Panthers wanted Minnesota to take the full contract. and Minnesota didn't want to. We wanted to take part of the contract. Um, Ended up being a little bit of a mix of both. So what happened was, and there was a bunch of pick swaps, which I was looking at initially, and I wasn't sure if I liked the value. I'm still kind of on the fence. I think Minnesota maybe paid a little bit too much, but we'll see. So Minnesota gave up a 2025 fifth round pick, so or 2026 fifth round pick, which I believe it could have been the one from the Eagles or it could have been our own. Um, and we're supposed to get a comp pick next year. So we are projected 11 picks next year. So totally fine with trading a five. And then we're going to get a conditional seven, which I don't know what the condition is, but a conditional seven next year from the Panthers. But this is where I'm kind of like, eh. We're sending a fourth round pick in 2027, and we're getting back a fifth round pick for 2027. So I do see that it's just a round swap, but we gave up a four and a five. So I don't know how I feel about a four and a five. If it was like a five and a six, all right, I'm cool with that. But a four and a five, I don't know. That just seems a little bit too pricey for a guy we're going to get for 1 year and who's
Hmm.
35, who being at that age, what can you expect from him? And he has a higher risk for injury probably because he's 35. He's already been injured a little bit last year. I think he missed like 5, 6 games. But still, we were kind of desperate because our wide receiver room was looking kind of sketchy with all the injuries and the suspension we had. So I get it, but I'm just not thrilled with the compensation fully. But there's also a little twist at the end that it's been reported that Minnesota and Adam Thielen are going to work on a contract restructure, which is he's going to take a little bit of a pay cut because we were going to take on the full like $6.7 million of his contract, but someone reported that that's being renegotiated and it's going to be down a little bit. I'm thinking, okay, that's good. If it gets down to like a 5.5 million contract, all right, I'm good with that because we have like 31 million in cap space, but I know we're trying to move some of that over to next year because next year we're in a crunch. We're like 50 million over the cap, which there's restructures that can happen. I'm not concerned about that, but I know we are probably going to transfer some of our cap this year to next year. But all saying, I'm happy Adam Thielen's over here. He's going to be our two for the first 3 games. It's going to really help out McCarthy because now instead of Jefferson getting quadruple teamed, he'll only get triple teamed, which is what he always gets anyway. And Hawkinson will get open. And Adam Thielen, he's not gonna run past you. He's not gonna get like extreme separation. But what he is an elite route runner with great hands. And that's what we need. Just someone we can trust to get in that spot on third down and catch the ball. Because Jalen Naylor has really good speed, can separate, but his route running isn't exactly what he needs to do sometimes. And he has the habit of dropping the ball. And that's just been him for his 3 years with us. He drops like one ball every couple games that is big time. Like that could have been a touchdown, or that could have been a first down to get us points, and he drops it. Adam Thielen doesn't drop a ball, and that's just what we need. Jefferson and Hawkinson, they'll be the guys that get our big chunk yardage, get the touchdowns. We just need that guy on 3rd and 7. Hey, sit down in that zone because Jefferson's getting triple teamed. They're paying attention to Hawkinson over the middle. Just sit down over there. We'll get it to you for a first down, move the sticks. And that's what Thielen is. So I'm overall happy about it. Don't love the compensation, but I get it. The Panthers were not wanting to budge, and we really needed another guy out there that can learn the offense quickly.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things if I can add to it. I just read an article that added some good context. Um,
Hmm.
but the conditionals, this person compared it to the Cam Robinson trade last year, which
Hmm.
talked about it switching from a fifth to a fourth, and then um, it also canceled out the Vikings getting a seventh back from the Jaguars. So
Okay.
that could be kind of the setup. Another one that it said it could be is could be for like the Eagles, for example, from like the Sam Howell trade, it could be the
Hmm.
conditional on which higher one do they get back? As
Okay.
far as for
Yeah.
Minnesota or for, for Carolina, same thing. Maybe that's conditional in that way, where it's conditional on
Hmm.
it's either the Eagles or it's the Vikings, but it's going to be whichever one's higher.
Right.
So, but that does allow flexibility. The one thing I'll say about a trade is to me, a team that's trading, and I know it sounds dumb, but I do think it's a good rule of thumb that I feel like the Vikings and Eagles both fall in practice. They try not to surrender a complete pick. They're willing to surrender where that pick will be, but they try to keep that
Hmm.
pick for trading. And I think that's a really smart tactic because if you're
Yeah.
good at trades, you can typically make up that value on draft day. Um,
Hmm.
because there might not be someone you like in a slot, you can come back to a different spot, maybe pick up a pick in the sixth round, but pick up one for the future years so that eventually you'll build up that value again that you lost in the trade. So
Hmm.
I really, really do like that about it. Um, it's so interesting about Adam Thielen. I go into this year wondering what what can you expect? Because
Yeah.
last year was okay. Before that, he had an amazing season.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm interested to see what's going to happen for him. I mean,
I will
615
say,
yards.
yeah, I was just gonna get to that because last year, his first few games he was injured.
Mhm.
But the second half of the year, him and Bryce Young had a connection. He had like, so there's like 3 games. One game, he had like 8 catches for over 100 yards and a touchdown. Next game, he had like 7 catches for 90 yards. Next game, he had like 6 catches for like 70 or 80 yards. So he was producing. It wasn't like those long bombs, but it was just chomp, first down, first down, first down. And he's really good in the red zone, just finding that open hole. So that is what he is. He's almost like a tight end, honestly. Just over the middle, security blanket. You know he's going to be open because he understands route concepts. He understands zones. Nothing's going to surprise him when he's running that route. It's like, yeah, that guy's going to be right there. I'll just sit right here. That way, that's the angle for my quarterback to throw to me. Adam Thielen is just a smart receiver. He's kind of like a he's got like a Wes Welker or like a oh, I can't remember the other guy's name that the Patriots had for so long. Little short white guy. Um,
Danny
oh,
Amendola,
that's one of them. Edelman,
Julian
Julian
Edelman.
Edelman. Yeah, he's just like that, you know. Maybe not as elite as those guys were, because those guys were elite at what they do, but he is like an off-brand version of that. Just where he's going to be. He's going to find that spot, not drop the ball. He's not going to break tackles. He's not going to get yards after the catch, but he is going to be there when you need him. That's why he's getting like 7 catches for 80 yards because every catch is like, all right, 9 yards there, 11 yards there, get tackled, move the sticks. And that's very valuable.
He's pretty comparable to Julian Edelman. Edelman had 3,000 yard years, and Thielen had 3,000 yard years. Almost actually a couple more, but he's just a few short of
Hmm.
900. But Julian Edelman's, I think, a good comparison. I mean, for sure, Wes Welker's he's on a different level. I mean,
Right.
he was a workhorse, and in that year with the Denver Broncos, just cemented his capabilities. Definitely better than Danny
Hmm.
Amendola. But yeah, I can agree with that, and I think that that's a pretty astute observation. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I'm really fascinated to see how this is going to turn out.
Hmm.
I think it's a great move. To me, it's a high floor, low ceiling move. You're not
Hmm.
expecting him to come in and light up the world, but you do need
Right.
him to be. He has to be efficient. He has to catch the passes. He's got to get the
Hmm.
first downs. And the other part too, I think that's important is if the Vikings had a softer opening, I think they would have
I was
considered.
just gonna go there too.
But opening up against the Bears, you can't drop it. That's
Hmm.
probably the easiest divisional game you have, and that's still a hard game.
And I would agree with that. It's at Chicago, but I agree with you in this aspect because it's a new coach for the Bears, new system. Caleb Williams is still learning it. There's been reports in the offseason that he's been struggling. Then it's been looking good. Then it's been struggling. It's been a roller coaster ride. So if you want to get someone who's learning a new offense, first game out the year is when you want it because he's still not going to fully get it. I wouldn't be surprised if week 12, the Bears look like they're a good team. because they have some chemistry. They're understanding what Ben Johnson wants. Week one, maybe not so much. So yeah, absolutely. And again, with the Bengals week three, we know what the Bengals do at the beginning of the year. Now, I am thinking this might be a little different year because everyone except Trey Hendrickson has been playing and practicing and playing well. So their offense might be humming, but still, you want the Bengals at the beginning of the year, not at the end of the year. And that's at home too. So yeah, because we're at Chicago, home to Atlanta, should be 2 wins. NFL's crazy, you never know, but should be 2 wins. Bengals toss up. We'll see what we get there because Joe Burrow can light you up if he's on. But if we can start those first 3 games with Addison 2-1, perfect. Let's do it. We'll go to our international games. Browns, Steelers, not super concerned there. Possibly go 4-1 into our bye, and that's when the schedule gets meaty then. But we can't afford to be 2-3 going into our bye. Then we're going to be struggling. But if we can be 4-1, maybe even 5-0, I'm not going to say that, but that'd be great. Because that's when Eagles, Chargers, Lions, Ravens, all just it gets nuts.
Well, and another part too that I would add to this factor is um, you want your injured players to have a ramp up time. You don't want them to come right back.
Right,
Um, I'm going to mention just because it's a perfect example, but Carson Wentz back in 2018, coming back from a torn ACL, he came back too soon. Just simply put, he came
right.
back too soon. And, um, it's never been confirmed, but if you look at a lot of the videos of him in the throwing motions, he was making up for that ACL not quite being right
Mm,
and hurting his back and ended up getting a severe back injury. Um, And so you got to take the time. You got to take the time to recover and heal, and you don't want to rush people back. Like my biggest concern for Landon Dickerson is, the Cowboys game is important, but I'm more concerned about the long term. You've chosen the short term route. You better take extra precaution so that you don't have to take the long term route and then even push it even farther into the next off season. So
hmm
um, hopefully that's what the Vikings do. I think Thielen is a really great number two for now to Justin Jefferson, especially with these types of teams. The Falcons don't have a scary defense. The Vikings or the Bengals don't have a scary defense. The
hmm
Bears have a competent defense, but I would not say they
Yeah.
are a scary defense. But when you get to the Steelers in week four, man, that is
Yep.
gets tough.
Different
The
story.
Browns have a good defense. The Browns are not a defense you should sleep on. They're not amazing, but
hmm
like I'd say they're like a C plus defense, and you put Miles Garrett in there, and it gets close to a B plus defense just because of Miles Garrett being on that team.
hmm
Um,
hmm
I mean, that guy just single handedly can shut down an offense.
He can. Absolutely.
So, but you guys do have Joe Flacco to only worry about, so that should be fine. Maybe get a couple interceptions because he's having one of his
Well,
down weeks.
who knows? That's week 5, so no, that's week 4. So by then it might be Shedeur Sanders.
I don't even know what to say to that, Andrew. I don't know who's more dumb. The Browns and thinking that Shedeur Sanders is going to develop into something that's going to be amazing because he hasn't shown anything this season so far. There's been no signs
No,
of great expectations or trading away Kenny Pickett, who I think was honestly a great number two. Um,
I agree. He's a solid
oh,
backup.
why? Or the other side is the Raiders for giving up a five. I don't understand why they gave up a fifth. That one makes no sense.
Yeah.
This they
I know they were
they are
desperate because O'Connell's out for 6 to 8 weeks. And, if Geno Smith goes down for any reason, then they have nothing behind him. But man, there's a lot of quarterbacks that got released. Tommy DeVito got released. You could have put in a waiver for him. I think who picked him up? The Patriots, maybe?
yeah.
But you probably had a waiver claim around that time, around that area too. You could have picked him up. You didn't have to give him a 5.
Well, the Patriots are slightly ahead of the Raiders, to be fair. So that might have been factoring in the
Okay, but
equation
there's
when you're
still there's
looking
still
at it
other
as
guys
well.
out there. There's
Right.
still other guys out there.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the Raiders bailed them out. They bailed him out of a
The
bad
the
spot.
Browns were probably gonna have to cut somebody.
Well, I couldn't believe that they honestly went with the narrative, we're going to keep four quarterbacks on the roster.
There's
Okay,
no way that's
whatever.
happening.
Yeah, like we'll just wait for the first injury and you're going to start sweating
Hmm.
because you're like, oh man, we have a way too packed quarterback room. Because I still think we're in a position because the practice squad set up, you don't need three quarterbacks. You don't need them. You can call up a quarterback from
Yeah,
your practice squad.
the main reason it's like that is because that emergency third quarterback thing that because of the
Yeah.
Eagles kind of actually because you injured Brock Purdy in that playoff game. That rule became a thing. Um, yeah, that's why most teams have that third quarterback, but that third quarterback is like never needed. It's like a one time out of 100 games that you might have to consider playing that third quarterback.
Well, maybe if the 49ers didn't put a tight end to block an extremely explosive defensive end, maybe their quarterback wouldn't have gotten injured. I don't know.
Just saying.
I'm just throwing that out there, Andrew. I
Hmm.
just putting that out there for people to consider. I don't know. Like maybe if you're going up against Miles Garrett, it would be a good idea to put a running back on him. I don't
You
know.
know?
That's just my take. That's my opinion.
Hmm.
But
Well, shall we get into the Sam Howell trade?
uh, you
Since that
know,
involves both of us.
I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about that trade. I don't know,
Hmm.
man. I So this is interesting. I didn't know this. If you trade a player and it's later that season, you can't trade for them back. I didn't realize that,
Oh.
and I should have remembered that because I remember that nugget coming up last year with Hassan Reddick because there's rumors, hey, Eagles are going to trade for him back because the Jets can't seem to get a contract with
Hmm.
him. So I think that's so Kenny Pickett out of the equation in it. But if Howie had the
Yeah,
preference, I think he would have gone with Kenny Pickett.
probably.
Um,
He knows him more.
yeah. So, but it's not a bad move from the Eagles standpoint. We needed someone too because Tanner McKee looks like he's going to be out for a little
He's
bit.
injured.
And
Yeah.
but again, it comes back to I really love the Eagles' philosophy on this. It's not about if you can play; it's about are you really ready? Like that is the question they're asking their players when they're ramping up back from an injury. Like last year, Jalen
Hmm.
Hurts got a concussion against the Commanders and pretty much put him on ice till the playoffs. And a lot of people were upset about it because they're like, "Hey, we need this guy. We're trying to compete for
Hmm.
seeding here." But the Eagles maintain the belief that it's better to have 100% or as close to 100% player than it is
Yeah.
to rush him back. So I think from that standpoint, I like the move. Um, I know that you've said to me personally in chats that you haven't been impressed by Sam Howell, and I could see it. Here's what I can't get out of my mind. Sam Howell had like five touchdowns and one interception against the Eagles in one season. He was just on fire. He was throwing the ball. He was getting it to Terry McLaurin. He was getting it to other commanders' targets. I still feel like that's in there. Like you could get that out of him in the right situation.
Hmm.
The question I don't know is can the Eagles provide that? Can they provide the situation to allow him to be
Yeah.
successful? But as a third quarterback for us, that works. He is the third string quarterback. He's not coming in to replace Tanner McKee. And that's why I think it made sense for both of us because,
Hmm.
you know, Sam Howell quite wasn't at the two level, what you guys needed. Um, and so you went ahead and went with Carson Wentz, which that's its own move. And
Different story there. Yeah, we'll get into that.
to each their own, Andrew. I just I don't know. I watch football every once in a while, and I remember the Broncos Chiefs game from Week 18 last year, and I don't know the 38-0 blip that the Chiefs put up. Some people might be concerned about that and think maybe this guy doesn't have anything left in the tank, but that's just me. That's my take.
The only um excuse I will give him in that game, which it's not much, is he was running with his twos against the Broncos ones, and the Broncos needed to win that game. But and that's just barely an excuse for him. I do hear you. He did look pretty bad.
Uh, I, you got picks back for Hal, so that's why I think you make the swap out. But
Hmm.
man,
And on our side, watching Hal in our camp, he has arm talent.
Hmm.
he can play football, but his processing isn't all that quick. And in the Kevin O'Connell offense, your processing needs to be quick. I mean, we saw with our quarterback last year, whenever he's pressured and he didn't quite read the field good enough, his processing was a little slow and he got sacked. Because the Kevin O'Connell offense is pretty complicated and you need to have that ability. I'm not saying Carson Wentz has that ability. I really don't know. But
Hmm.
what we saw from Sam Howell over and over again is he showed flashes of, hey, he can play football, but he's just not processing our offense well enough. And the biggest show of that was the second preseason game. The first preseason game against the Texans, he looked great. I was like, okay, he's starting to learn things. Practicing was he was doing pretty well. He's starting to learn some things, and he was like 10 for 12, 100 yards and touchdowns. Like, awesome. That's just what we need you to do. Just run the offense. The second preseason game, he was like 1 for 4 with a bad interception. I mean, it's
Hmm.
one of those plays that you think if you do that, you're wanting to be cut. So basically, what the play was, he got the snap, he rolled back, did his 3-step drop, and he wasn't reading the defense well enough. He didn't see his check down was open, and he was looking elsewhere. And then he got pressure, and he rolled out into oncoming pressure. Instead of rolling out away from it, he rolled out onto other oncoming pressure. And instead of taking the sack, just, eating your crow, saying, okay, I made a bad decision. Let's move on to the next play. He literally just chunks it up and it gets picked off. He was trying to throw it out of bounds, but he wasn't in a spot where he could do that. He just threw it up, got picked off, and then he didn't play anymore that preseason game, and he did not play at all in the third preseason game. It was obvious sign that he was on the chopping block, and I am happy we got a pick for him, because he was either going to be cut or he was going to be the 3, and that would have been Max Brosmer would have been the 2, which he's had a really good camp, but he's not ready to be the 2. He's not ready to be the backup yet. He's the 3 to be developed into the 2. So that is why we looked elsewhere and we signed Carson Wentz. So basically, it's a similar player kind of. And instead of keeping the one we had, we got draft pick back and then changed out for a similar one who is a little bigger and a little stronger. And that's kind of how it was. Hopefully Carson Wentz can learn the offense better. He's been under um, He's been under Andy Reid. He's been under McVay. He's been under some really smart offense head coaches, and he's been the backup of both those places. So maybe that's a sign. I don't know. But Sam Howell just doesn't process quick enough. He takes too many sacks, throws too many interceptions. He's got talent, but I just don't think our offense was the one that he needed.
And that's fair. That's definitely fair. Um, so we'll see how it goes. I really like. I want it to be. I don't want it to be misunderstood. I want Carson to succeed. I want him
Hmm.
to succeed. The part that's tough for me is I feel like we went from a guy that had no ownership of responsibility and mistakes to a guy that takes 110% ownership. So it
Hmm.
makes it really tough to like the guy that I felt like struggled to take ownership. And even after he left, still struggled to take ownership. I don't know if that's changed. I don't feel like I've seen that from the clips. Like I was really disappointed with his response to Philly fans when he got to the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
I felt like he was almost slightly resentful that they got back again. Like I think that was kind of twisting the knife in the wound for him. But
Hmm.
it really bothered me as a fan that he ran away from Philly. I didn't like that. I think he sensed competition and decided to back out. And I just think, like to me, if the Eagles got Tanner McKee's a perfect example of this. The guy is lighting it up, and if a quarterback was insecure, you could think he's coming for my job. But that's not Jalen. Jalen's just operating with the fact I have won a Super Bowl. I have gone to the Super Bowl twice. I'm not getting replaced.
Hmm.
This is my offense. And I think if Carson Wentz just had that mentality about taking responsibility, ownership, he could have been a different player. And it just feels like what could have been. In fact, I really hope someday ESPN does a 30 for 30 on Carson Wentz because I think it's a fascinating arc. Because, he went from being he would have been the MVP if he didn't tear his ACL,
Yep.
which to me is, by the
Yep.
way, can I just say how dumb that is? It's so dumb how we give out awards. You should give it based off of who you really genuinely thought surprised you the most. Like that's how the most valuable award should go. Because what he did for Philly, he really did set us up for the Super Bowl, and I'll always be grateful for that. But wow, just crazy where he is now. Absolutely insane. That
Hmm.
was not what I thought at all in the first 3 to 4 years of his career.
Yeah, he's been on 6 teams in 6 years.
Crazy. Um, One part I was going to mention too before I forget. When he played against the 49ers with the Rams, he actually did look competent. He had a 17 for 24 ratio passing breakdown, 163 yards, 70.8% completion, and he had 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. So the overall
It's not
rating
bad.
was a 99.8 and a 90.2 QBR. So, maybe they're thinking it's just tough, man, because it's so small sample size, because as a
Right.
backup, you're not going in there very much. So, but
Hmm.
here's the hope and it works out. I really do. I wanted it to work out for him.
Yeah, ideally, he's never going to see the field unless it's like garbage time kneel down. That's if he has to see the field in real playing time, we're in trouble. And that's the case for any NFL team. If your
Hmm.
starter goes down, you're kind of screwed. So ideally, he is holding a clipboard in JJ McCarthy's ear saying, "Hey, this is what I think would happen," and maybe that'll be beneficial. But that's ideal. He's just in the room. He has knowledge of the game because he's been around the block for a little bit and break glass in case of emergency kind of thing where if he has to go in for a quick quarter, he can just not screw it up. And unfortunately for Sam Howell, we didn't believe that. We felt
Hmm.
like he would screw it up. That's the reason why we made the change. And we'll see. Hopefully JJ McCarthy lights it up, doesn't have any injury issues, and Carson Wentz is just there with no helmet and a hat, just reading a clipboard.
For the record, Andrew, we had 100% faith in Mormon Missile. The Mormon Missile would not take us down after Jalen Hurts. He's the best second string quarterback in the NFL. That's what Eagles fans will tell you in those intense Eagles circles. Well, I think that's covered it pretty much from the Sam Howell front. Do you want to talk about the
Think
Phillips
so.
trade? Any other trades you want to bring up or moves from the Vikings perspective?
Yeah, I can briefly mention the Phillips trade and then get into what I see might be coming because there's an interesting thing on our 53-man roster right now. So Harrison Phillips he's always been a good but not great player. He's been
Hmm.
good against the run, not really a pass rusher, just kind of a body in there to stuff running lanes, which is valuable. You need that on your defensive line. And he's a great person in the locker room. He's a leader. You love to have him on your team. But Minnesota was kind of in a pickle because through training camp, through preseason games, we're looking and thinking, man, we got a lot of dudes in our defensive line room. I mean, when we picked up Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, those were going to be the starters. Picked them up free agency, and they're looking great. But our young guys that have been on our team for a couple years, they're developing. And we also found kind of a diamond in the rough on a UDFA tryout. His name is Elijah Williams. Watch out for this guy because I think he's going to get playing time. No one
Hmm.
drafted him. No one put him on their UDFA rookie lineup. He was a tryout. Minnesota picked, like, just let him try out. And we said, hey, we love what you do here. We picked him up. He was on our 90 man and he was lighting it up in camp and preseason games. He made the 53-man roster. That doesn't happen often, a tryout. But the reason why we traded Harrison Phillips is because we were seeing this guy like we don't know if we can keep him on our team if we try to get him through waivers. And the Jets were a little struggling on their D line, so I think Minnesota actually called them if I remember correctly. But it was interesting because some of the last joint practices that fans had access to, we were seeing that Harrison Phillips was on the sidelines when the ones were out there. We thought, it's kind of odd. Maybe we're just trying to get our fifth round rookie Ingram Dawkins some playing time with the ones because he's been kind of mixing in a little bit in there. But Phillips was running with the twos mostly. We're like, that's odd. It's interesting, but we didn't think much of it. And then like a week later, he gets traded for two sixes. We're like, huh. At first, I was thinking, man, that hurts because he's our starter. But then looking into it, we got a lot of guys on our D line. We're going to have six guys rotating in and out probably. And that is a really good thing to have. You would know about that because your Eagles always have that. You have just a plethora of guys you throw in there that can just take snaps away from your starters and get them fresh. So that's why Harrison Phillips was dealt. We have a lot of guys behind him that are great at pass rushing. We have some run stopping specialists, but and as far as the compensation is concerned, at first I thought it was, man, that's not a lot back for Harrison Phillips, who's like 29 going on 30. He's still got some good years in him, but if you think about it more, again, he's not a pass rusher. He's a great locker room guy and he's a good run stopper. But good run stoppers, they aren't like seen as a valuable piece to pick up. And so for us to get two picks back, I'm okay with that. Is it a great haul? No. But did we get kind of a horrible trade in that? I don't think so. I think it was fine. And that was the first domino to fall to pick up Adam Thielen because we were talking about trading for him before Harrison Phillips got dealt, but we needed more ammo because the Panthers were being a little stubborn. So I'm okay with it. I'm sad to see him go, but our D line room, it's legit. And even if a Hargrave or an Allen has to miss a couple games, which that's expected, they're a little older, they've dealt with injuries in the past. If that happens, we have some guys that I feel okay with stepping in for a game or two. Not full season. If like Allen or Hargrave like tore the bicep again like they did last year and have to miss the whole season, that's a problem. But if they twist an ankle, miss a game or two, we can survive because we have some depth now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to watch. I think we saw it from different angles, but I also think that the Vikings don't make that trade if they don't feel like Allen and Hargrave are showing that they've recovered from their injuries.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be about depth. You have to make sure that you have adequate starters. So, I mean, we'll have to see how it goes. Because the fact, Javon Hargrave's injury was pretty significant. Jonathan Allen is has shown somewhere. So we'll see how
Hmm.
it goes as the season progresses. But you also got to play the long game. You got to play the long game in terms of. I don't mean this to sound in a bad way, but I feel like if you asked Quessy and you asked KOC, like you gave them truth serum, they were going to tell you how likely are they to win the Super Bowl this year. I think they would tell you that this isn't their chance. This is not the true window. It would be like next year or the year after is when they reach the optimal window.
Hmm.
You should still compete. You should still try to win because you never know what's going to happen. But I think
Hmm.
that that's part of the reason you make the move. You get a little salary cap relief, which
That was the big thing. Yeah, that was the big thing. We saved, I think, like 8 or 9 million off our cap next year, and our
yeah,
cap was already 50 million over. So that was also very big.
yeah. So I mean, that's all you're trying to do is you're just trying to bring down numbers and trying to shift things and make it
Hmm.
a little better. And so it'll be interesting. I think it's I feel like the Vikings are being slept on, man. We've talked about this before, but just listening to national media, I just feel
Yep.
like let me put this way, Andrew. I don't know what the Vikings don't provide that the Packers are providing, besides one thing, quarterback. That's it.
I
That's
was
the
thinking the
only
same
thing.
thing.
That's the only
Yeah.
thing that you can tell me. And then the other part that's making me frustrated is like, let's not just anoint the Lions to win this thing. They lost both coordinators. Like, let me tell you, as an Eagles
Hmm.
fan watching the 2023 Eagles season, that was pure pain. Like that was one of the most painful seasons. I know we made it to the playoffs, but to have the floor fall off from under you the way that it happened
Hmm.
for us, it was awful. It was horrible. And could I see that happening to the Lions? Absolutely. Um, like let's not underestimate. what Johnson provided on the offense in terms of the consistency, the
Hmm.
play calling. I mean, and he was using Jared Goff the way that Sean McVay never did. He was just willing to use him in different ways that made Jared Goff look good. Which, by the way, that should be a attack against Sean McVay. That exposes that he's not as great of a coach as he could be. He gave, like, drives me nuts that that guy doesn't get enough blame for how quickly he gave up on Goff. But that's another thing. Um, but you know, the Lions deserve credit for what they did on that. But let's see what happens. You're now in phase two. Phase
Yeah.
two is where you leave your coordinators that you had previously. What's the
Hmm.
defense going to look like? And I know it's the Hall of Fame game. I know it doesn't matter, but to come out that flat, it just bothers me. I can't get that
Hmm.
out of my mind. I hope that they come out ready because the preseason's over. You can't use excuses
Yeah.
anymore. You can't say you're in the first month or whatever because the losses
Hmm.
count.
And
So
their O line isn't the same. Their center retired. Their right guard Zeitler, I think, is with the Jaguars now. Their O line isn't the same. They drafted some guys that could be good eventually, but are they going to be good year one? We'll see. We'll see. That was their strength, was their O line, moving people, getting run lanes for Montgomery and Gibbs. If their O line isn't elite, if it's average to above average, that's a big deal.
ah, yeah, absolutely. I forgot one other thing I did want to mention, and I just wanted to mention this because I think it'll be interesting. But I really think that fantasy wise, Josh Oliver, I just feel like if you did not draft well at tight end, look at
Mm.
this guy for the week ones to week three. I think it matches up so well in terms of him being a
They
bigger
are
producer.
they are definitely going to be running two tight end sets the first 3 weeks because they don't have the receivers to play. Honestly, they'll have two and then run both tight ends and something else to think about, which I'll segue this into a little bit of the 53-man roster that the Vikings have. But our fullback CJ Ham, he's on short-term IR, so he's not going to play the first 4 weeks. So we won't be running a lot of two running back sets either. Not I formation. That probably won't happen much. It's going to be with Josh Oliver and Hawkinson out there with our running backs. Still run the ball with that, but play action out of that. Oliver over the middle. It's very possible. He's a big guy. He's got hands. He might get some red zone touchdowns. Who knows? So I agree with that. I agree with that.
And just to make it clear, just so people don't get mad at me, I'm not saying to draft the guy. I'm just
Right.
saying the guy will
Right.
be available. He will be
Waiver
available.
time.
And if the tight end class doesn't go the way you want it to, look out for him. He can get you
He's a
for those
streamer.
first 3 weeks. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. So, um, well, should we flip over to the Eagles' perspective on trades or
Go for it. Absolutely. We talked about the Vikings a lot today. I'm happy, but
um
we need to get to the Eagles.
no, it's all good, man. It's good moves. I'm really happy about who the Eagles got back on their team. So the Eagles made a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars and they brought back Fred Johnson and they only gave up a
Hmm.
seventh round pick for him. So it's a big deal. Following in camp, it, our backup scenario as far as for offensive lines not looked great. It's been a struggle. Um,
Hmm.
and you probably don't know who Brett Toth is, Andrew, but he's been like an eternal backup for the Eagles for like 7 years now. But he's
Hmm.
taken the first string reps for Landon Dickerson's spot. And that terrifies me.
Yeah.
Uh, the only upside is that Micah Parsons looks like he has a ramp up period, which,
He's not going to play. I'm just going to call it. He's not playing week one.
well, if he does play week one, it's going to be just like Dak Prescott last year. Sign a contract on the day of the game, and it's it doesn't lead to long term success.
Hmm.
I know the Cowboys had short term success, but I don't think it's coincidence that they had the contract standoff of Lamb and Prescott, and that it overall affected the trajectory of their year. Um,
Yep.
so we'll see. I think that Fred Johnson though is the perfect pickup. It was a cheap one too because I think we split the contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars so that we
Mm.
didn't have to take the full million plus. So that makes it a little easier on our cap. But he was a great backup for us last year. He came in for 5 games, um, part of that 5 game stretch was when Jordan Mailata got hurt, and
Hmm.
he had some really good reps against Trey Hendrickson. Now, if Trey Hendrickson and Fred Johnson were going up against each other twice a year, I think that would have looked differently the second game because Hendrickson's never played against Johnson. But I tip my hat to Johnson. He looked good. He looked competent. So that's a really big move for the Eagles. The Sam Howell trade we already covered. I think it's like a
Right. Mixed bag.
yeah, I think it's okay, but it's not one that I'm like overly excited about.
Hmm.
Um, Now, as I said, McKee is hurt right now, so it's good that we got that in a better spot. So I'm happy about that. Um, I think we talked about the John Mechie trade, which I think that
Yeah.
one, I'm watching that one. That one's really interesting to me.
And what's
Uh,
funny about that is the Texans dropped the tight end that you gave them. Um, Bryant, I think, Harrison Bryant.
Harrison Bryant.
They cut him. I thought that was hilarious. They make this trade a few weeks ago and they're like, nah, we don't want you after all.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles won that trade.
Oh
Truly,
yeah.
I think that Mechie is he's got potential.
Yeah. Yep.
The other trade that I wanted to mention is the Eagles traded Darian Kennard, which sad news, the Eagles won't win the Super Bowl now because Kennard has won the past 3 Super Bowls in a
I know
row.
it's wild. And maybe that's why now the Packers are getting so much love because like, oh, they must be winning the Super Bowl this year now.
Um, Here's the crazy thing. Fred Johnson, Kennard, who's the better player? I think most fans that have heard of both of them would tell you Johnson's the better player. So it's weird that Johnson went for a seventh and Kennard went for a sixth. I don't
Hmm.
understand that process. But
Hmm.
again, that's a hat tip to Howie. Howie was able to negotiate
Hmm.
both trades in a spot where neither one was really like knowing the value of the other trade. And I think that that helped them to secure both trades and end up, I'd say, getting better value. They got a better player out of the swap. Um, the only thing I've heard about Kennard that the Packers might have wanted him is they value guard tackle versatility, and that's not Fred Johnson.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Now, the one thing I say about Fred Johnson is he is a true swing tackle. You could put him on the left, you could put him on the right. He would do just fine. He would be able to
Hmm.
adjust. That is definitely not everybody. Um, so we'll see what that happens on that front. But yeah, it's kind of a interesting situation as far as for backups. But going into the year relatively healthy. I am watching the AJ Brown injury front. He's sat out most of the training camp, but I think the Eagles are taking a very cautious approach. One other side note, fantasy wise, Jahan Dotson, keep an eye out on him. I
Hmm.
expect him to be a far better target for the Eagles next year.
Okay.
And if AJ Brown's not 100%, I think Jahan Dotson just naturally makes sense to
Hmm.
have some really good sneaky games. So excited for
Question for
him.
you.
Uh-huh.
From what you're hearing from camp and seeing, do you feel like the Eagles are going to be as run heavy as they were last year, or are they going to be a little more balanced? Because Saquon got so many touches. I personally don't see how you can put that on his shoulders 2 years in a row. But that I'm not a coach.
The the qualifier I'd say for this is our running back room was not as good last year.
Fair.
I'd say like the combined value of the 3 running backs we have is better than the value of the 2 running backs last year. Um, Kenneth Gainwell was good. Like he really was. He really impressed me in some really good situations, and he did a great job as our number 2. But to me, I'd rather have Will Shipley and AJ Dillon than just Kenneth
Hmm.
Gainwell.
That's fair.
Um, so I think that the reason why I'm bringing that up is when you get into those nitty gritty situations and you need to get 2 to 3 yards, I think AJ Dillon could absolutely do the job. I think he'd do
Yeah, he's
just
he's
fine.
a big muscle boy. Yeah, he's got like his legs are probably bigger than me.
Yeah, he's a huge guy. Um, but the other part that's interesting with Saquon Barkley is my head wants to say yes, but the reporting I'm hearing out of Philly, there's literally a guy. His name's Brandon Lee Gowden. He's underrated for how great of a reporter he is for the Eagles. He does it for Bleeding Green
Mm.
Nation, one of the
Hmm.
uh, can't remember the name of the parent organization for Bleeding Green Nation. but SB Nation. He does a great job breaking things or
Mm.
looking into things. But um, I'm excited to see what's going to happen because he thinks that Saquon Barkley is going to be better in year two compared to year one, and he said it multiple
Hmm.
times.
Okay.
Um, so we'll see. But looking at totality, I think that we're looking at a Jalen Hurts rebound season. I think Jalen Hurts is out for
Which
blood.
in a rebound season is saying a lot because he did not have a bad year last year. He was good.
What's his name? He's a Fox guy. Um, is it Kevin Wild? Is that his name? Yeah. He's on the a lot of the Fox shows, but I'll send you the clip. But he does a great job. The Truth Hurts Part Two is way better than the Truth Hurts Part One. You could just skip the first one. That one just, but there's a lot of great content. And he just let this out a week ago talking about the hate for Jalen Hurts, but I don't get it, man. I don't understand. I know the stats aren't sexy. I get that,
Mhm.
except for the fact the touchdown column for rushing touchdowns, that's pretty amazing because of all the tush push scenarios.
It's so important. And again, he doesn't score those touchdowns because of the tush push. He scores them because he is a huge man with very powerful legs. He squats like 8 million pounds, and you cannot tackle him whenever he is laying on top of you pushing. At QB sneaks, he would still score like 10, 12 rushing touchdowns. Anyway, but he is a strong man, and it's one of a kind what he can do at the 1 yard line. Just want to get
Well,
that out there. It's not because of
and
the tush push.
and I didn't even realize this, like I didn't appreciate it, but he is actually the best quarterback right now. I can't remember for how many playoff appearances, but rating like Mahomes, Burrow, all of them, he has the best turnover percentage. I didn't even know that.
That's huge. Yeah.
That's insane. So like when it comes crunch time, well, think about I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I'm just using it for reference. The Bills Ravens game, Lamar Jackson had a huge turnover that
Yeah.
really hurt the Ravens, and they were always digging themselves out of a hole after it. But
Yeah.
all the focus is on Mark Andrews, which is kind of stupid. And if I'm Lamar Jackson, I would take the heat every time I threw the interception. I'm the one that got us down that far, but
Hmm.
that's fine. Everyone can team up on Mark Andrews if they want because Lamar just seems to be everyone's favorite guy, but that's fine. Um, but you got to get credit for that. Like that's amazing to be
Hmm.
that efficient with the ball. And um, thinking about that Super Bowl, he put the ball in the right spot almost every time. There was one interception that was like that did not look good, but the rest of it, he was
Hmm.
amazing. So I do think we're in for a bounce back year. But the reason why I'd say he's in for a bounce back year is the receiving cast is healthy. I think Jahan Dotson is in a prime spot to be competitive. But one other player I did want to mention on the offense that I'm really excited about, Darius Cooper. I don't know if you've been following this guy, but he's been turning heads at the Eagles training camp. Another
Okay.
guy that was just picked up, and he's a rookie free agent, was not expected to be that good, but he really has looked really, really good. He was a first team FCS player, and
Okay.
uh, he went to Tarleton State as a freshman. Um, but yeah, he's been a really good receiver for them. Pretty impressive. Um, so I'm excited for him. And he actually finished second in the NCAA in receiving yards last year. He had 1,450 yards, 14 touchdowns, an average of 19.1 yards per catch.
That's big.
So I kind of like it. I
Hmm.
love what I see. I love how he's playing. So I just think that they have a better receiver room. So all that to say, yes, Andrew, I do think that we'll be seeing the Eagles bounce back passing wise this year.
Okay. Which has something to say. You mentioned that Saquon looks better this year from what you were hearing from the reporting, but with the Eagles probably passing the ball more, and now you have three running backs in that room, makes you think Saquon Barkley being like pick 3 or 4 in fantasy might be a little high because I don't think he's getting 2,000 yards and all these big. He'll probably get big running, like big 60-yard plays. That's just him. But I don't see him getting as many touches as last year. So that 2,000 yards and like 18 touchdown type thing probably isn't going to happen. He's probably going to come down to earth a little bit. Team overall still going to be successful because it's going to be spread out. But him as a person probably won't have as many stats. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that you're right on. I mean, we've talked about this before, but Jamar Chase seems to be the guy that's like that should be the consensus number one. Truly,
100%. Yep.
he
Can't argue
has.
that.
It's the most secure value. It's the one that you
Hmm.
can bank on the most to be a safe play person to go with. Um, so we'll see how it goes. It's too soon to really know how players are going to truly pan out, but
Right.
um, I think that um, it's going to be a safe bet with him. I'm trying to think about who else I'd put up there. I mean, people are saying Bijan Robinson. The hard part I have with Bijan Robinson, you have to have a good cast. You have to have a reliable group around you. And I know they have Drake London, but I don't know what else the Falcons have going on for them. That one just feels
Hmm.
wrong. I The Falcons' trajectory to me is not playoff team, and you need to be a playoff team to be a good fantasy player. Like that's the amount of players that are good that aren't on fantasy or that aren't competitive teams. I mean, Brock Bowers is like the diamond in the rough example of that, but it's not the
Hmm.
norm. Uh, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is someone that'd be good to go for. CD Lamb, I think it makes a ton of sense.
Hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But I do think a lot of people are going to fall into we expect Saquon Barkley to be the same workhorse and exact same
Yeah.
person.
A lot of people draft, and we're going to have a mock draft episode soon, but a lot of people draft players at their peak season the year before, which you need to draft for value, not at a player's highest cost, because then you're just getting an average team because you're getting them at such a high cost because they played so well last year. Well, awesome. Well, who's going to be your guy that didn't play well last year that's going to play well this year? It's going to balance that out because if you get all these guys at their peak value, your team's just going to be okay. You're not going to have any splash plays. And that's exactly what like a Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley to me are, which I'm a little bit higher on Bijan than you sound like you are, but I hear what you're saying. And I'm not thinking that he is going to be like a number 1 player in fantasy type guy. He'll be a top 5 running back just
Mm-hmm.
because of the volume he's going to get and his talent. But I wouldn't draft him number 1 overall. I probably wouldn't draft him 2 either. He's probably not my first running back. And we'll get into all that in our next episode. But I do hear what you're saying. And I think CD is getting a little slept on because when Dak's healthy, CD feasts. And they have George Pickens now. Awesome, great. But I don't think that's going to take anything away from CD. I think that's going to take away from their other guys on their team. I think CD's still going to get his 10 to 12 targets and he's still going to be a beast. Um, yeah, yeah. I like what the Eagles have done. They're looking really solid, and I think their passing numbers, like you say, I think they're going to be up a little bit. And probably people are sleeping on AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, because last year they had fine seasons, but not like top 10 receiving seasons. And that's where you find some value if we're talking fantasy, is the guys that didn't do great last year, but you're saying, I don't think that's the norm. I think the norm's a little better and you can get him for cheaper. And I think AJ Brown, Devontae Smith might be prime examples of that being a thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, even like, there's a couple other players I'm just thinking of that I throw out for example of players I think that might be safer bets than Saquon Barkley. Trey McBride. I think that there's not a lot of security in what the Cardinals have going for him, but you could take it to the bank that McBride's going to be a good player. Brock Bowers, we just talked about, same
Hmm.
thing. Um, I think Drake London is, if I had to put Robinson and Drake London side by side, the tricky part about Robinson is you don't get credits for the catches. you automatically get credits for the catches as Drake London, which to me increases your fantasy value
Hmm.
because you're guaranteed more points. I just I don't know, man. I think Robinson's a perfect end of first round, beginning of second round player. Absolutely safe. You know you'd get great value. But if I'm getting him one, two, or three, I'm not loving it. I'm not loving the likelihood.
Hmm.
I mean, if I pick Justin Jefferson in that spot, I feel really confident that I'm going to get max value out of it. If I'm picking Jahmyr Gibbs in that one, two, three spot, I'm feeling really confident I'm getting max value. Jamar Chase, same thing. I just there's something about drafting with teams that tend to have winning success. It changed the
Hmm.
trajectory of the year because especially get towards the end of the season, like that fire to keep going is going to be dimmer if your team is not playing as well. I mean, naturally, you're just
Yeah.
not going to be as.
Yeah.
Which team is going to be more excited to play on Sunday? The 15-1 team or the 1-15 team? Like it's just hard to
Yeah.
find that fire every week if you're just getting beaten around and you're not really playing at your best ball. I I'm not high on the Falcons right now. Maybe I'm going to be proven wrong. I hope so.
It all depends on Michael Penix Jr. If he is the real thing, they'll have a competent team. If he's fine to average, they won't. It's all going to depend on him. He's shown flashes last year, but now it's go time. Let's see what he's got.
I know. I just that they could have won the division last year, and the fact that he couldn't
Yeah.
finish the job. I mean, like to me, it's like you're in the driver's seat with about 65% of the way there, and he was not the 45%. He was like the 25%, and so they fell short.
Hmm.
I just that concerns me. I absolutely there were some things you could see from Penix that you're like, I like this. A lot of
Hmm.
production, a lot of potential, but man, that train came off real fast at the end of the season. It just did not find a way, and ultimately just gave it up to the Bucks. So, and I think the Bucks are going to be better this year. So that's what's going to be a hard part. Bucks are going to be better.
I kind of agree. I do feel like the loss of Liam Cohen, their OC, they're going to hurt a
Mm,
little bit from that. So I don't think Baker is going to have as good of a passing numbers year, which again in fantasy he's going kind of high for me because he's going at his peak value. And but anyway, I think overall as a team, I agree with you. I think they're going to be a better team. Maybe not passing wise, even though they got a lot of receivers now, which, kudos to them for having studs in their receiver room. But I think Baker's numbers are going to be a little bit less, but they'll probably get one more win than last year.
yeah, I'd agree. Oh man, I'm so excited to get into our drafting episode. It's going to be great.
Yes. Yes. That's going to be coming up next. I anticipate we'll talk a little strategy, a little thoughts beforehand, and then get into it and just have some fun.
Yeah, man, sounds great.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to touch on right now?
Contract disputes got finalized for McLaurin and Hendrickson, so
Yep. Good for them.
we'll I feel like it's a little bit of a bit too late. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I think they're good, especially for McLaurin. I think there's going to be a little chemistry issues coming out the gate. Hendrickson's a different story because all you got to do is go, hey, see that guy with the ball? Go tackle him. That not really a lot you need as far as chemistry with your team for that, but quarterback receiver, that's a big thing. It's happened every year the past few years with Jamar Chase, with Brandon Ayuk, with all these guys that contractitis, CeeDee Lamb, and then at out the gate, they're just not on the same exact page. I think McLaurin's going to have that. But with Hendrickson, we had an episode about what we think is going to happen, trade, extension. We didn't even think about just a band-aid for this year, and then next year he's a free agent. So I don't see him coming back to the Bengals next year. They
no.
gave him more money. He's happy about that. Thanks. I get like 29 million this year, or whatever it is, 30 million. And then he's an unrestricted free agent next year. So he's going to have a market and someone's going to be happy to get themselves a Trey Hendrickson without giving up any trade value.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we'll see. But this just goes back to the example that we've given before. You have to look at your value. I just don't believe the Bengals are a Super Bowl team this year. They don't have enough pieces. They don't.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
defense,
And
not good.
sneakily, their O line is going to be a problem because in preseason games, Joe Burrow was running for his life. Preseason games. That's concerning because you're going to go up get some guys. I mean, they're in the same division as Miles Garrett. Miles Garrett might kill Joe Burrow this year.
Oh, TJ Watt. I mean,
TJ Watt.
the
Yes.
Ravens have a plethora of defensive players to worry about. Yeah, I
Yes.
don't love it. Do not love it for what
Everyone's
Eagles this
focused
year.
on the defense, which makes sense because their defense is not great. But I think O line might be even just as concerning for this team. Joe Burrow's,
Yeah.
to me, very possibly the best quarterback in the league. I That's an argument that I'm willing to hear. I would still say Mahomes, Allen is maybe a little bit more valuable than Burrow, but if you say Burrow's the best, I can't argue with that because he's phenomenal. But you can't do a lot whenever you're running for your life and you're on your back. And I fear that might happen this year.
Yeah. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. It is going to be fascinating to see how the season unfolds.
Hmm.
Super excited. We're
Me
we're
too.
1 week away, Andrew. 1 week away from kickoff.
Yes. Yes. That's wow. It got here quickly. Um, and I'm thrilled.
Yep. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us in this episode of the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share the video, and watch out for our next episode coming soon with our fantasy draft, our mock draft of our fantasy football thoughts, because that time is here as well.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again soon.